to Vikings, warriors, conquerors, and now a new generation of seafarers. Teams built out of champions. The order has been shaken up, and the Danes are on the rise. Copenhagen has taken one team out of action. It's a sprint for victory. This is the ROCKWOOL Denmark Sail Grand Prix.
The sun has come out and the breeze fills in over Copenhagen to make it all systems go for the fastest sailboat race on water. Welcome to the ROCKWOOL Denmark Sail Grand Prix. And today a bonus as we have 4 races scheduled on the port for the state-of-the-art F50 catamarans, making up the most exciting and competitive sailing league. The pressure will be on the teams today with no room for error as the 8 national teams go head-to-head in the 4th round of SailGP's 3rd season. Alongside Stevie Morrison and Emily Nagel, I'm Todd Harris. And a beautiful day in the greenest capital on earth as the fans continue to make their way here after yesterday's event was abandoned because of weather conditions and an abundance of caution for the sailors. Everything was taken off the schedule and pushed to today. But today it is ready, and we are ready to see the best sailors in the world. Right now, let's check in down on the water, the 4th member of our broadcast team, Olympic silver medalist Lisa Darmanin.
Things are looking fantastic out here on the water in Copenhagen, with the breeze already in the right direction and the F50s tearing around on their foils as they prepare for racing. Today's forecast is 18 km/h winds, gusting to 24 km/h, with a chance of it building later in today's racing. The wind is blowing from the north, which is slightly off the shore, meaning the wind speeds across the course is quite variable. So we're expecting a gusty race course with plenty of opportunity for overtaking today. Well, yesterday was a completely different story. Unfortunately, the wind didn't get close to the numbers that were forecast, and the rain hung around just too long to give the wind an opportunity to build. It was a frustrating day for everyone on the water and watching from the shore, as we just could not get a race away. Although it was a disappointing day, it is just part of the sport. And one of the great things about sailboat racing is that the conditions change every day and the sailors get a different race course to play with and a new challenge.
All right, thank you, Lisa. We left you last after event number 3 in Plymouth. These are the standings coming into Copenhagen. Australia has the lead, 29 points. Great Britain sitting in second, but remember, they are not sailing this weekend because of an incident during practice. Their boat damaged, unable to go. Then it's New Zealand, Canada, and Denmark, the top 5. France and the USA looking to make a move this weekend, as is Spain and Switzerland. So that's the story right now. The 2-time defending champions at the top of the leaderboard, and we are almost ready to go racing right now. Stevie Morrison has the course map.
Flying fast on the foils is the key to a good start. It's a straight line sprint to Mark 1, so the higher you fly the boat, the faster you're going to go. After Mark 1, we'll see the first split in the fleet. They'll sail off in different directions as the teams choose to sail to the side of the course that they think will give them the quickest time to gate 2. When they get to the gate, it's a big choice to make as they can turn left or right. For the leading boats, they'll be looking to select the best side of the course with the most favourable wind. It's harder for the boats behind, as that disturbed wind means the choice won't be as easy. Remember that sailboats don't sail fast unless they're sailing at an angle to the wind, so we'll see them zigzag their way around the course, trying to find the best opportunities. At each gate, there's a chance to overtake or to extend away in the lead. And let's remember, this course here in Copenhagen is flat water. Boat speed's going to be the key, so getting to the finish first is going to be all on those wing trimmers.
Sun is out, the wind is up, and we are less than 1 minute and 15 seconds away from the start of race number 1. 4 races on tap today, and Stevie, that really changes the dynamic. 4 races, but one of them will be a podium race.
Yeah, I think first race of the day will be a feeler for everyone, but as soon as we're into that, it's all on. people are going to be struggling to get back to that final after the very first race.
1 minute to go to the start of the race as everyone gets into positions. 8 boats will do battle today, with Great Britain having to sit this one out because of damage to their boat during practice. So during those practice races, it was a split across the board. Canada got a win. The USA got a win. And it was such a fast day out there with those conditions. And then yesterday came Stevie, and the wind just died off.
Well, that's just the nature of our sport. But today, nature has turned up. We've got a beautiful wind speed, 25 kilometers an hour. The boats are going to be fast. It's going to be gusty and shifty, though. We've just got 28 seconds to go, and we can see Denmark leading the fleet back. My eyes are on Spain at the bottom here. Their timing looks pretty good. Australia and New Zealand out the back. Obviously, like the look of a time run, and it's New Zealand up on the foils first. They're looking to thread their way through the middle of the fleet. It's going to be tight. 13 seconds to go. Timing the key. Burling on New Zealand has found a gap. It's Denmark, France and Spain in the lineup, but New Zealand coming through with speed at the gun. Have they got the timing right? Line will turn white when it's good to go. Oh, perfect timing from the New Zealand boat. They are going to be leading this sprint down to mark number 1.
First race of the day, and it is the Kiwis, the winners of the last race in Plymouth, that take the lead as they make their way down 3 wide, with France on the inside trailing.
A lot of conversation between. That's Burling and Took discussing the wind. It's gusty and changeable, and it's New Zealand, Denmark, France and Australia at mark number 1. It's tight. It's all about now making the next right decision. Manoeuvres in this wind are going to be hard to judge. Gusty, patchy wind, there's a lot of opportunity for overtaking.
There you see that wind speed at the top on the left of your screen. That is the wind average across the entire race course, so 23 kilometers an hour. And there you see the speeds on top of the boats. The Americans right now sitting right around 45.
Perfect first turn there by the New Zealand boat, and the ladder lines, they're heading left to right, they're moving downwind. Big gain to New Zealand.
And here we have all the speeds of the boats in kilometers an hour, miles per hour, and knots, all doing over 60 kilometers an hour downwind here after that first jibe, fully accelerating towards that bottom gate.
So just short of 40 miles an hour, and the Kiwis have found some wind.
And it's France coming back in there. They have the right of way. Anyone in close contact with them will need to keep clear. Sehested, has he judged it right? Oh, just. For me, Australia has to dip behind. Good move by De La Pierre. But it's New Zealand going to lead at gate 2, and they're going to split the course with the French.
The French with the fastest speed here downwind. Very impressive from them. We've seen them improve from event to event this season.
You see Jimmy Spithill at the last moment deciding to opt to the same side as the French. He must be seeing some wind over there. Meanwhile, it's the Kiwis, the Danes, the Australians, and the Canadians going to the top.
Canada fall off the foils, though. That's a big mistake by the new Canadian crew. They're in the water 2 hulls down. That's a problem for them. Jimmy Spithill, he's chosen to turn right, and we can see in a battle, 5th and 6th, but he's found some space. Has he found more wind? Great camera angle here. Look at the different colours on the water. The darker patches on the water, that's more wind. If you can find more wind, you're going to go faster. It's not black magic, Todd, but it is hard to put it all together and find those extra gusts of wind.
Nathan Outer is trailing just behind Spithill. They make the turn at the same time, so Spithill covering, now moving into 2nd place behind the Kiwis.
On the left-hand side there, we can see New Zealand. They're out in the lead, and look at how stable that platform looks. Burling and Took. They've got the boat locked in here. They look fast, but Sehested, the local favourites, seem to have found some wind, and the ladder line here shows us that they're moving up the course, chasing the New Zealand crew.
And here we've got the top speeds of the Kiwis and the French, who are leading the fleet. 56 kilometers an hour for the Kiwi team, while France are just a click faster. Really impressive for them, also in slightly more breeze. That's what today is about, finding all of those puffs.
Interesting. Here we see the Americans nearly sailing straight up the ladder line. That means the wind has turned in their favour. New Zealand should be looking to turn the boat fairly soon, or they could end up losing some distance here. The wind's never steady. It's about trying to minimise the distance you sail when you get those opportunities, and right now, Jimmy Spithill's doing a great job of that.
And just to point out, this is a shorter race than we're used to. Because we have 4 today, there's just 6 legs, so no chance to really make recovery if you make a big mistake on one of the early legs. This is like 3 of 6, so roughly halfway over on this race number 1.
It's slow to take that change in the wind on board New Zealand. I think they could end up losing a little bit of distance here, as we've got the French coming across. They have the right of way. Burling needs to be certain that his New Zealand boat's clear ahead.
Want to remind you to go and check out sailgp.com/rockstar, and you can vote for the ROCKWOOL Rockstar of the Day. Head there now and vote for your favorite driver.
That's the voice of Belair Touk there, talking about which mark he thinks favoured. They seem to have managed to tie things together at the top of the course here. They're still in the lead, and if they can get away from this gate in good order, they're going to be well set for the rest of the lake. One last turn, and then they'll be parallel to that yellow line and in good shape.
We're going to match US and take a left turn at the top here.
So Nicolai Sehested laying out his plan at the top of the course.
He fancies following Burling, but it's there. De La Pierre on the French. He hasn't got the right away. He needs to be confident he's across. I imagine we'll see a protest from the Americans there, but he looked clear to me. And again, sailing his own path, it's De La Pierre, and the battle for third and fourth is all on in the pack.
The Danes on the inside at gate number 3. The Americans push to the wide. 5 seconds behind the leaders is France, sitting in second place.
Unfamiliar sight here to see the Australians back in the pack, splitting there with Nathan Outridge, the new driver on board Switzerland. Tricky day in these gusty conditions for crew changes.
New Zealand takes the lead. Denmark now in second. The USA dropping back to third, with France going back to fourth. It's Australia, Switzerland, and surprised to see Canada in seventh place, 1 spot ahead of Spain in last.
It's the voice of Peter Burling. He's trying to ask, can he lay the finish? I think you've got another little bit to go yet, Pete. You can see there Liv Mackay at the back. Look at her head on the swivel there in the strategist role. She's trying to watch the opposition, make sure they position themselves ready to the other boats.
And Stevie, when you talk about laying the finish, what does that mean?
Well, he's hoping, can he get to the finish in one? But looking at our legs at the top there, we've still got another upwind to go. So he's a little bit early to worry about that one.
Kiwis fresh off their victory at the last event in Plymouth, looking very good. Maybe too early to say they've cracked the code here in Copenhagen, but man, they are sailing well.
If you see how stable the platform looks, they're doing a great job. But left of screen, look at the French, 67 kilometers an hour. They're back to within 50 meters. De La Pierre's got this French boat really going fast at the moment.
France was back in fourth. They're now in second. The Americans have taken over fourth, 1 spot behind Denmark, the home team, in third.
And it's New Zealand. They're going a lot faster. They've sailed a lot more distance. Both boats will take a right turn here. New Zealand do have control. It's going to be a difficult rounding for the French. There they go. They're struggling to keep the boat under control. Good save by the French, but that's a real tonic for the New Zealand crew. That's going to give Burling and Touk a far, far easier final upwind leg here.
And look at the speed. The French have dropped about 15 kilometers an hour, and here comes Denmark and the USA on the same course.
It's the voice of Nathan Outridge on board the Swiss boat, looking for an early turn here. Call it a JK, turning up. Oh, it's too much there, too much, too tricky in these conditions. Both hulls in the water, that is really slow. They're going to lose a lot of distance on the Swiss boat there.
And Spain dips in as well.
Gusty wind, Todd. The wind's changing all the time. The amount of horsepower in that big wing sail we can see. So we talk about the wing trimmer. The wing trimmer's pulling this big wing sail in and out. And with the gusty, powerful wind, it's just changing all the time. But right now, well, New Zealand look pretty solid. 100 meters ahead. It's going to be a bit of a cakewalk from here.
New Zealand, USA, Denmark, and France, the top 4 here. This is race number 1 of 4. 3 more still to go. The last race will be the podium race, where only the top 3 boats will compete.
Day like today, you want to start off with a good result, and I think it's really important for New Zealand to be out in the lead, but Canada and Spain, they've got some work to do.
And here's our head-to-head speeds at the moment. 100% fly time from most of our teams. We've seen the Danish touch down briefly in the mark rounding, but for the rest of the time, they have been up on the foils. The Kiwis are the fastest out there at 57 kilometers an hour, with the Danish and USA losing a bit of average speed there because of their touchdowns in the roundups.
That's the front of the field with the Kiwis, the Americans, the Danes, and the French. And in the back, surprising to see the 2-time defending champions, Australia, in the back in 6th place, just ahead of Canada and Spain.
Oh, this fleet, yeah, it's tricky for Slingsby. Got a new wing trimmer on board in Ed Powys. Really a bit of a flex from the Australian crew, showing their squad depth, but it's a tricky day to be dropped in as the wing trimmer for Ed Powys. I'm sure they can improve as the day goes along. New Zealand, look, that yellow line they're sailing towards. 1 turn now for New Zealand, and they can make it to the finish.
And this is Spain currently in dead last. We saw them at the last gate having their issues putting the hole in once and twice. So they've lost a lot of distance. So they'll look to the next two races to try to do something. And look at the Kiwis. They've come down.
That's right. And now they see them sailing parallel to this yellow line, Todd. That means they can get this next gate with no more turns. So they're pretty much straight in here. They're going to sail through the gate, slight left turn, and they're into the finish. Australia, though, good move back here. They found a brilliant wind shift. Slingsby's never out of it, but at the top of the screen, it's going to be really tight on this final gate.
Looking at Mark 1 positions to now, we've seen big gains by the France and the USA team, moving up from back of the fleet positions up into the top 4.
And it's going to come down to this, the final leg of race 1 of 4. The Kiwis get through the gate first, and it is clear sailing. It'll be a short blast to the finish line, and Pete Burling and the Kiwis looking mighty good.
Well, that's a great move by Jimmy Spithill, perfectly judged. He's in there ahead of Nicolai Sehested. Tom Slingsby, he was nearly back in the race. But, well, what's going on? We're looking here. There's a bit of a blast to the finish. Big gust of wind there, that dark patch on the New Zealand boat. That's great news for the Kiwis. They've got the boat going fast. They're looking to sail big cruise liners to the left. And New Zealand now, they've used that big gust of wind, and they're going to start blasting into the finish now.
Well, that will set the tone for the day as the Kiwis get the victory overall in Plymouth, and they come to Copenhagen and take race number 1 on Championship Saturday.
You can see in the background, the wind is so disturbed by those cruise ships there. They're blocking the wind. It's patchy. Can America make it down to the finish? It's going to be really tight. Australia and France may yet have manoeuvres to do here as we come in. It looks like Spithill's just judged it right. What are Slingsby and Delapierre up to on the top of the screen?
Denmark will take 3rd in front of the home founds. Penalty coming the way of France.
This is the umpires. Penalty France relative Australia. Penalty France relative Australia. Not giving room in the boundary.
France must give Australia, they must swap places with Australia now. This opens the opportunity for Canada, who are coming in fast. Australia do need to keep clear of Canada. France need to drop back behind Australia. It's carnage here at the finish. So tight. Last turn there by the Australian crew. Can Phil Robertson's Canadian boat glide through? It's going to be down to millimetres.
And it looks like Canada just gets across.
Oh, and that's going to mean Canada get a 4th place finish. France must need to drop behind Australia, so it should be Australia in 5th. France back to 6th. That one mistake, how costly is that? And Spain and Switzerland, here they come. They're in 7th and 8th.
So it looked like Australia was going to be handed a gift when France committed the penalty, and it turns against them, Stevie. They go almost dead in the water. Phil Robertson keeps it going. What a recovery by the Canadians as they were in 7th place. Now they finished in 4th, and look at the shifty winds playing havoc as Spain has both holes in the water, still nowhere near the finish line.
It's just that with big cruise liners, Todd, they're blocking the wind and they make this leg so tricky, but these results already, an 8th place for Spain here, means they're already on the back foot. Race 2 today is going to be crucial. If you don't put a good performance in one of the first 2 races, you're really going to struggle to make that final. Burling, Jimmy Spithill and Nicolai Sehested, they can probably take a little bit of a breath of and relax a touch after a good first race, but for the rest of the fleet in that midfield battle, it's really going to be tight. And for Spain, for me, they need a 1st or a 2nd in the next race to have a chance of making a final.
So it's New Zealand that gets the win. The Americans hold on for 2nd place with Denmark finishing in 3rd. And then the chaos really began as Canada sneaks underneath Australia, who's trying to limp across after the foul on France. France relegated back to 6th place, Switzerland and Spain. So an opportunity now to get a quick bit of refreshment and some hydration, and then it's back to racing as we go back to the key moment from race number 1 here on Championship Saturday in Copenhagen.
A lot of excitement in that first race so far. The course is slightly shorter than normal, and this has meant that the fleet is more compressed, so there's been a lot more traffic at each of these gates. That, combined with the shifty winds and the big drops in pressure, meant there was a lot of crucial moments where boats came off of the foils while crossing with other boats. Every little mistake counts in days like today, which means with 2 more races before the final, we could see a lot of place changes coming up.
And look how tight it was around that gate as the French put the hole in, able to recover quickly. But a nice job by them. And once again, it is New Zealand that takes the win in race number 1. The Americans in 2nd, Denmark in 3rd. A quick regroup, and it'll be on to race number 2 here in Copenhagen.
When you think of the best sailors in the world, you think of Pete and Blair. When we heard that they were coming to SailGP, we're thinking they're going to walk in and start winning races. Pete and Blair definitely have that status in sailing.
If somebody had have told me that the Kiwis would not finish on the podium for the entire of season 2, I would have said there's no way. There's no way that will happen.
Oh, these guys are so good. I was expecting to see them coming out guns blazing from the start.
And they crossed the finishing line in 6th place.
They didn't look at the way any of the other teams were really doing it. They simply did it their own way. And I've got to say, most of the things they did differently just didn't work.
We've learned some lessons about ourselves as sailors and athletes. So we've stripped it back to basics, and we're working really, really hard on the fundamentals, just really focused on simple yacht racing and sailing well.
The Kiwi team, they've been together for many, many years, but they pushed through this hard period of SailGP to make sure that they kept that team together.
Pete Burling and company, they danced with the devil on the last leg, but welcome to the show, New Zealand SailGP. The Kiwis take the win.
Hey, great job, you guys. Great job.
I think that's the exciting thing about our group. We've always known that we've got some pretty amazing talent on board, and we feel like we've got so much more to go from here. So
we have always trusted the people we have. We've realised and put our hands up in areas that we haven't been as good as other sailors out there. But we've realised that we've learned some really tough lessons, and now we are sailing better as a team.
glue it together, lash it together, and then say tahi kia, which is make it strong.
Go, go, go.
Well, earlier this week, Formula One driver Kevin Magnussen paid a visit to the Danish boat area and said, you know what, I'm a pretty keen sailor, I'm going to give this a try. So the fastest Dane on land meets up with the fastest Dane on water, Nicolai Sehested, and he tried his hand at flying one of these state-of-the-art F50 foiling catamarans. A little different than a Formula One car, but he seemed to handle himself just fine out on the waters here in Copenhagen, part of the ROCKWOOL Denmark Sail Grand Prix. Well, the fans regrouping here out on the water, and what a beautiful day as we are now 4.5 minutes away from the start of race number 2. Everyone wants to be a part of this amazing event here in the greenest capital on earth. We are excited to welcome His Royal Highness Crown Prince Frederik and Her Royal Highness Crown Princess Mary of Denmark to the ROCKWOOL Denmark Sail Grand Prix here in Copenhagen to compete in the Danish Royal Race. The Crown Princess will race with double SailGP champions Australia, and the Crown Prince will race with the home team, Denmark. And it's another SailGP first. This is the Danish Royal Race.
Here we go, and closest to screen we can see His Royal Highness on the Danish boat there. It's going to be a big sprint. Two-time champion Tom Slingsby driving over the top. It's all about how high they dare fly the boats.
It's a drag race here, so it's not about the manoeuvres, just the straight-up speed. We see the Australians there with 74.5 kilometers an hour.
The Crown Princess with a slight lead.
Here we go, it's all about keeping the boat fast. We can see the gusty conditions on the water. Their Royal Highness is on the wheel at the moment, and it's a sprint with 200 meters to go. Who's going to get the hull shot?
And at the finish line, it will be Australia and the Crown Princess taking the victory here at the first Danish Royal Race.
Australia got that by half a second.
And it is official. The Danish Royal Race goes the way of the Crown Princess Mary of Denmark. And the official results from race number 1 here on Championship Saturday. Peter Burling and New Zealand get the win as they continue to roll after their success in Plymouth. Jimmy Spittle and the Americans finishing in second place, and Denmark, Nicolai Sehested, fresh off his first showing in the podium race in Plymouth, finishes in third. Canada sneaks in for fourth, just ahead of Australia, and France, by way of that penalty, drops to sixth place. Switzerland finishing in seventh with their new skipper Nathan Outridge, and Jordi Chamar in Spain having problems out there, just barely getting to the finish line. So take a deep breath, Stevie Morrison. We are now ready for race number 2 of 4. Remember, the fourth race will be a podium race, so this is really what we like to call the moving race. You've got to move up that ladder fast if you're at the bottom.
I think if you're Spain or Switzerland, you've got to go all in, high risk on this start and look to get yourself somewhere near the front of Mark 1 for Nicolai Sehested that we can see here. We can see they were doing a nice job. They're still in the pre-race preparations here. There's a little way to go before they turn back towards the start. Still heading the wrong way at the moment. But for Sehested and his crew, that was a solid performance. Probably the big winner in that race was the Canadians. They managed to take 2 points on the last sprint leg to the finish. How crucial could that be, and how much could that hurt Australia, who that incident with France really pushed them back?
Every point out there counts today. We've got less races than usual in preparation for the final, so losing 2 points, huge error by the Aussies.
Yeah, you'd normally have 5 races to get yourself into that podium race, and now we are just down to the 3. So we'll see what happens as we now approach 1 minute to go before the start of race 2. So everyone's speeding to the back of the start box. Stevie, what do you think the best strategy is with those cruise ships and the way, as Lisa Darmana reported, the gusty winds that they're dealing with out there?
I think get into Mark 1 first and being on the inside so you can turn early to get away from the shore with the cruise ships on is really quite crucial here. We can see we've got 24 kilometers an hour on the screen there. New Zealand, far right of screen. That was their strategy last time, the slingshot start. Blue mark on the start line there. That's the favoured position on the line. But key here is going to be up to speed with your timing. Jimmy Spittle, good control here. It's tight in the pack. Here comes New Zealand at 23 seconds to go. This is their run-up. They're starting here. They're way out the back, but look at the speed they've got. Bottom of the line, Australia and USA, it's going to be a bit of a fight. New Zealand look like they found a gap again through the middle. Burling, how's your timing? 10 seconds to go. It looks pretty good to me here. They're not away up near the favoured end, but he's going to be fast at the gun. Australia going well. New Zealand look to turn down. It's going to be Australia, France and New Zealand who break the line, and now it really is a sprint in these gusty conditions to Mark 1. I think Burling could be first there again.
Some very familiar faces, just like in race number 1. The Kiwis out in front, Denmark's there, and France on the inside, almost the exact same line they had in the first race.
Faster angle from upwind there for the New Zealand crew. They are going to lead at Mark 1. They have control of the decision, and round the top, Nicolai Sehested has done a fantastic job. All about a good first manoeuvre now in these gusty conditions. That's far easier for me to say than get done. Canadians there, great overhead view here. We can see New Zealand already turned away to the left of our screen. France turn, Australia turn. Denmark look to follow. They're close to the boundary, and it's New Zealand striding away. The ladder lines here showing us nearly a 100-metre lead, and we're on board New Zealand.
Yep. No, it's just, we just want a little fit for a good no worries.
It's Pete Burling, no worries there.
Okay, 3. Maybe? Yeah, 3. 4 down. It might be an issue here.
Player 2, he's anticipating Denmark. They're off to the left-hand side of our screen, bottom of our screen now. Denmark will come into sight, and they will be coming in fast, but New Zealand have the right of way, and it should be okay for the Kiwis at this point.
Race 2, leg 2 of 6 as they make their way down to the gate. It will be once again the Kiwis out in front, the Danes sitting in second, France sitting in third. The Americans, don't know what happened to them on the line. They are back to 7th place.
Early attack for New Zealand here. It's a big day for the grinders, Todd. The wind is so gusty, that big wing sail's having to come in and out all the time, and it's going to be a tough day. Spain dive inside the Swiss here, looking to set up for a right turn. They're going to be slow on board the Spanish boat. They've got to give, they can't go too wide there. They've opened the door for Jimmy Spittle, and he's not going to say no to that kind of invitation. Spittle, what a move by the Americans. They were back in the pack up to 4th. Huge moment.
Spain giving out like Santa Claus as the Americans come through and take that gift. So they're up to 4th place. It is still Kiwis out in front. The Danes sitting in second, France in third, and Jimmy Spittle, move of the match so far from 7th to 4th as we go down on the water in Lisa Darmana.
Well, it's quite diabolical out here, to be honest. It's super gusty at the top of the course, but at the bottom of the course, it's really light as well. So everything is happening out here. It's pretty tough for the sailors, I'd say offshore. So we're away from the land where the Danish are right now. That's where the best, most consistent pressure is, and you're going to get clean-cut maneuvers and make less mistakes over there. So that's where I think the sailors should be heading.
And that's exactly what we've been seeing in the numbers as well. While the Danish were offshore, we were seeing them with 27 kilometers an hour of breeze, while the Kiwis, who went the inshore route, had less at 20 kilometers an hour. Now that they've come closer together in the middle of the course, they're starting to have more similar wind speeds. But that's had a huge impact on their positions, with the Danish closing the gap a little bit.
Here we go, New Zealand, middle of screen, constantly some 4 kilometers an hour faster when you look at the top of their mast. They've really got the boat going fast. Just here in the onboard there for Pete Burling. He's talking about being able to get there with just one more turn. France is sailing the boat so well today, but a little mistake in race 1. They need to cut that out in this race. They're about to turn. They will have the right of way, but I don't think they're close enough to affect the Kiwis here.
I want to remind you to head on over to sailgp.com/rockstar and vote for the ROCKWOOL Rockstar, who you think the best skipper is on the day. Go now to sailgp.com/rockstar and have your voice heard. As we pick up the action here, leg 3 of 6. This is race 2 of 4 scheduled. Pete Burling and the Kiwis, they won race number 1, and they have control of this race, but look at the Danes coming on fast. Look at the speed, over 50 kilometers an hour, with the wind speed just over 20 kilometers an hour across the course.
We'll have to do one more turn on the Danish boat. Here they go, setting up to turn. It's going to be tight with the French. They've got to judge this one right. Looks like a good easy in for New Zealand here. This will turn into a good lead for the New Zealand crew, and Denmark have judged that tack very well. They turned through the wind right in front of the French, and all boats are setting up to turn left here. It's good news for the leaders. They should be able to stretch away, and at the moment it's an absolute masterclass from the New Zealand crew.
At gate number 3, the near gate, one of the 2 roundy gates renamed and branded near in recognition of SailGP's new partner. It is the Kiwis that have the lead as the Danes make the turn, and that lead is more than 10 seconds with France. Quentin Delapierre doing a fantastic job. He needs a top placement here in race number 2. The Australians in 4th and Canada in the 5th. Americans have dropped back. Remember, they went up to 4, and now they're back to 6 again, and they need some movement. Stevie, you look at the overalls of what happened in race number 1. If you're at the bottom, if you're Australia, France, Switzerland, and Spain, you need a top result.
Yeah, Switzerland, Spain, I think they're really struggling from here, but also Australia. We've never really said that before, but they are struggling on board the Australian boat today. We see 7th for Spain, 8th for Switzerland, and it's going to be a struggle. I think they're going to find it hard to overtake from here, but at the front of the fleet, the New Zealand boat, well, they're the ones that are stretching away, and they're leaving the Australians, the Canadians, the USA really trailing behind them there.
Standing by.
Swiss boat at the back of the pack. That's the voice of Nathan Outteridge there on board. You can see the boat's just not flying high enough out the water for me at the moment. They'll be struggling for speed with the boat not that high clear of the water.
Nathan Outteridge coming on board as the new skipper, and Sebastian Schneider going into that strategic role. There we see the front of the pack. It's the Kiwis leading by a long distance.
And looking at that last leg, this is the summary. The Kiwis sailed less distance, with the French team marginally faster, but that's just showing how tight the battle is. Both teams only doing 2 maneuvers. The Danish team was slightly slower and did sail slightly more distance, which is why they are struggling to keep up. But if these teams make it into the top 3 in this race, it's putting them in a good position going forwards to make that final.
So Stevie, how do you explain the lead that the Kiwis have, knowing that they're sailing about the same speed as the French, and they've only made 2 maneuvers identical to the French? And look at the lead.
I think as soon as you're out in front of people, you have the choice of where you want to turn the boat. So you can look at the wind and say, I like it over there, I like that there's more wind, I'm going to go there. If you're behind and you choose to follow, you're only going to be sailing in the disturbed wind of the New Zealand boat. That's going to limit your decision. So they're only getting a second pick at their first choice of manoeuvres, basically. So New Zealand, well, it's been a starting masterclass from Burling, and they're sailing the boat really smoothly. But they're fighting the pack now. Australia, big first turn there, and this could be decisive. He has to find more wind to move up the fleet ahead of the third race today.
Everyone feeling the same intel as they make their way to the right-hand side of that course, seeing that there's more pressure over there. And right now it's going to get a little sporty as they get around gate number 4, Stevie. They are all going to be scrapping scrapping for points and positions, but the Kiwis, look at this. This lead has stretched over 200 meters.
Yeah, I mean, look at it. You can see there the dark patch of water ahead of them. New Zealand are sailing straight towards more wind. You'll expect to see their boat speed go up. Voice of Liv Mackay there at the back, female athlete strategist on board the boat. She's looking at the other boats, helping Pete Burling stay focused on boat speed, focused on the wind that's coming.
And look at these speeds and fly times, 100% for the Kiwis and the Danish. The French had a little bit of a touchdown in that last maneuver, hence the slightly lower fly time. But average speeds are neck and neck for the Kiwis, French and Danish.
This is leg 5 of 6. It'll be one more gate, and then it'll be off to the finish line. Man, I'll tell you what, New Zealand looks almost unbeatable. The winners of race number 1, the USA took second, Denmark in third. Denmark in that third place position. So the Kiwis and the Danes, Stevie, looking pretty good for that podium race, the last race of the day.
Yeah, I mean, it's too early to say that any mistake could hurt, but I'd love to be in that position. Let's remember how tough that last leg was, down by the cruise ships. It's close with the French and the Danish. It looks like the Danes are going to sneak across ahead there. New Zealand, well, he's definitely well out in front, but I think if you're in the pack, approaching that final leg with the cruise ships, you're going to be pretty nervous. Anything could happen, and it could happen really, really quickly.
Wind turbines turning out there as this event is being powered by 100% clean energy. SailGP being the first climate positive sports and entertainment property, doing it right out here on the Baltic.
It sounds pretty relaxed on board that New Zealand boat. I guess if you're that far out in front, you can afford a bit of a laugh. But yeah, the turning forces in those maneuvers really tough. Good on board that New Zealand boat. Final turning here, but we remember this last leg to the finish is tricky underneath the cruise ships, making it very gusty wind. Phil Robertson, wow, where has he come from? Oh no, sorry, that's my mistake. It's the Danish. It's Nicolai Sehested on board there, the red and white livery catching me out. But a good job by Sehested. It's been a calm performance, and it's tight with Australia. He's got himself back in it somehow, and it's once again Australia and France on the final leg, and it was dramatic last time.
The French cannot afford to lose a position here. They are in a battle with the US team in order to make that race to the final. Every single point counts. The Kiwis and Danish are looking good. If they have another good race after this, they will make it into the final. But the real battle is between the French and the Americans.
And that's how it stands right now if it were to finish this way. But we saw this last leg give everyone problems, especially the Australians and the French. But no problems. It is clear sailing. The Kiwis once again claim the victory here in Copenhagen. They are the winners of race 2.
Good job by the Danish. Sehested's putting in a good performance, and the French, have they turned up too soon? He may have opened the door here. The French and Delapierre's turned up towards the cruise ships, a long way ahead of the Australians. Second for Denmark. Great performance, but the French are off the foils. He's opened the door, and we know who loves to slide through doors like that. It's Tom Slingsby coming in at nearly twice the speed, and it's Slingsby on the line. That was a big mistake by the French crew. Huge error turning up there as Phil Robertson on board the Canadian boat, a 5th place. Jimmy Spittle, he's fallen off the foils. He's going to potentially lose places here. This could really tighten up this battle for the 3rd place in the podium. As in the background, it's Nathan Outridge and the Swiss boat up and foiling. Sitting duck, Jimmy Spittle, and a penalty. Must be outside the boundary there. That's going to open the door. He's going to have to lose distance. And 2 good turns by the Swiss, and it could be another place lost for the Americans.
And that's a very valuable place they're giving away. The Americans could have gone 6 and 2, and it looks like down they may go 7 as both holes splash down for the Swiss. So this is not over yet.
The Swiss are doing everything they can here to stay in the pressure, away from the cruise ships, and get that little bit of speed to try and take this one place from the American team.
That's the voice of Stuart Bithell. How are we looking for flow? We've not got a lot of flow at the minute, mate, but neither of the Americans. But the Americans are just going to get their nose across the head there. It's so tricky with the gusty wind under that cruise ship. It certainly adds to the drama. And, well, there you go. They got the gust of wind. They got the flow at the end, but it was just a little bit too late for the Swiss crew. Jimmy Spittle hangs on, and how crucial will that point be when we get to the end of this?
Wow, the fans turning out in droves. Now it's seating and standing room only here in Copenhagen as we just wrap up race number 2.
Well, here we go. Of course, it was the start, and we're going to focus in there. We see New Zealand. He seems to be finding a hole through the middle of the fleet each time. Definitely a clear tactic for the New Zealand boat, way out the back. But it means you're over speed, you're firing yourself into that gap that the fleet seem to be leaving. And although he's not near the blue pole position spot, what he is fast. And as he's further up towards the wind, he's going to have a faster angle to Mark 1. These are the leaders at the first mark, but New Zealand have been brilliant so far.
And here we're looking at gate 2, where all the boats were compressed coming into the gate, all coming into the lighter winds, dropping off the foils, but it was the Americans that had a big change in position as they were coming in with speed here, rolling past the Australians, and they ended up gaining 2 positions, which is a huge number of points when you've only got 3 races going into the final. That's what today's battle is about. We see them coming in here in between the Spanish and the Swiss. Huge gains for them, staying on the foils nicely.
So you crunch the numbers, make it easy on yourself. Win both races, and you got the 20 points. That is where New Zealand is right now. They lead with another race to go. Denmark doing well, sitting in 2nd place, and Australia and the USA on tie, but Australia wins the tiebreaker by having a better performance in the last race, so that would take the Americans out of the podium race, but there's still one more to go. Canada sitting in 5th place, then it's France, Switzerland, Spain, and of course Great Britain not competing this weekend.
Hey Pete, well that's some start to the day out here in Copenhagen. You clearly got your starting pants on, but what's your main focus points for the race in here today?
Yeah, Steve, it's Blair. Pete and Josh and Razor are just getting ready for the next one, but yeah, a couple of glamour starts and team sailing real well around the racetrack, so yeah, a couple of good ones to start off with, but keen to keep it going.
And what's your main focus point? Gusty, shifty, what's the thing? Are we trying to shorten the distance or keep the speed high?
Somewhere in the middle. No, you have to be really on. A lot of gusts. It's yeah, pretty shifty. We've got some container ships, cruise ships right above the left-hand side of the racetrack, so it makes it a little bit tricky. But yeah, just keep the boat moving, and yeah, they're picking some nice shifts to get us around too, so all good so far, but yeah, keep it going.
We're looking pretty good for the final 3 at the moment. We've got Australia sat in 3rd place, tied on points. Any chance you'll be having a look at getting them out of the final?
We'll have a look in a sec. I think the guys are still concentrating on our next pre-start and race, but yeah, we'll have a look at the points in a sec, Stevie. But hopefully we can get another good one for us.
Great, well, nice work so far. Go have a good one.
Thank you, mate.
And while we're on the subject of New Zealand, congratulations to the Kiwis as they win not only in Plymouth, but they also win the Impact League, and they improve their standing 509 points over Denmark, Switzerland being the most improved team. Impact League was introduced for SailGP Season 2, and it tracks positive actions of our teams that make or reduce their overall carbon footprint and help accelerate inclusivity and sailing. So the Kiwis doing great things both on and off the water. Everyone getting set now for the 3rd race, and this will be the deciding race to decide who goes into that podium race. Remember, just the top 3 will make it into that podium race with an opportunity to win the overall here at the ROCKWOOL Denmark Sail Grand Prix in Copenhagen. This is event number 4 of Season 3 from the greenest capital on Earth. Here at SailGP, Inspire is the testbed for new sustainable technologies. For example, in the past, the team used traditional marks that needed boats that burned fossil fuel to place them. Now, with Mark Set Bot, we are emission-free. With the inbuilt solar panels and electric engines that can be programmed by race management to create the perfect race course. Combined with the RS electric rib and the E-propulsion engines, we now have a fully electric fleet supporting our youth program. All of these electric assets are charged by our onshore solar panels, and the goal is for these technologies to be scaled to championship level. And it's good to see the youth of Denmark embracing sailing, as they are certainly the sailors of tomorrow. Under 4 minutes to go until the 3rd race, and then it is on to the podium race. We send it down onto the water, and Lisa Darmanin.
Well, as you've seen, it's pretty challenging out here. Lots of teams making really big mistakes. And I think it's just because of the wind speed and direction is just changing so dramatically. And not only does that make it hard to pick where you're going to go on the racetrack, but it also makes it super hard to control the F50. So we're seeing a really unstable platform on a lot of the teams, basically except for New Zealand and Denmark. They're looking really clean around the racetrack. It's pretty clear which way you need to go. There is a bit of a pattern emerging, but still some opportunities for overtaking. So left turn at the top near the cruise ships and a right turn at the bottom near the spectator boats seems to be what the top guys are doing. So over to you, Todd, and the team to take us through the next start of the next race.
Lisa giving us a lot of information in a short amount of time. Take a deep breath as we get ready to go. Coming up on 3 minutes to go until the start of race number 3. And this is where Emily Nagel and everyone with a calculator earns their stripes, because we're crunching the numbers. If you're New Zealand, you're feeling pretty good. Emily, and I feel like if you're Denmark, you're also feeling pretty good.
Definitely. We've got a lot of teams all really close on points. The Kiwis, Danish, Aussies and Americans are all neck and neck, which means we could see a bit of match racing out there, people battling, trying to stop other teams from getting to the final. You can see the points here. The Kiwis leading the charge on 20 points, perfect score so far, while the Australians and Americans are tied on 14. Not far behind them, we also have the Canadians. So, gonna have the battle.
And Stevie, I hate to dumb it down, Sailing 101, but it really comes down to the start. I mean, we've seen that time and time again.
I think if you can get a good start, you manage to take control of your first decision, and I know that's what the New Zealand crew have done superbly today, and Swiss in the background, they just haven't managed to get that position at Mark 1, which makes it so hard. The thing I love to see about those points, Tom Slingsby and the Australians, you know, they've always looked kind of, I expect the fans out there in Copenhagen expecting to see New Zealand, Australia in the final, sorry. It's tight, and for the overall season standings, if I was Pete Burling and Blair Tuke, if I can get a good start, which is, I think a good start for New Zealand will almost guarantee their place in the final, they would have tried and get in between the wind and slow down the Australian boat. Chance of not having Australia in the final. How many times have we seen Australia just nip in the final and then win it? I'd be desperately not wanting Australia in the final if I was on board that New Zealand boat.
Tom Slingsby already with a win today as he won the Danish Royal Race with Her Royal Highness, the Crown Princess Mary, on board, and now here he is looking for a spot in the podium. Now, it's only the top 3, but remember, he is the 2-time reigning and defending champion in SailGP, and to Stevie's point, Tom always seems to find a way where there doesn't seem to be a gap. He'll find the extra points and get himself into the final, and that's where you really put your distance on the rest of the field. So, coming up on 1 minute to go before the start of race number 3, and then the field will be cut to just 3 that will compete in the final race.
You can just listen in on board the Australians at the moment. Here we go, slow turn through the wind here. Oh, there's pressure on board that boat. Definitely slightly tense on board the Australian boat there, Tom Slingsby. 20 to kill, that means they're a little bit early to the start. They're 20 seconds early. Big turn down from Australia. He's leading back, right-hand side of screen. New Zealand, well, there's no change of plan for Burling. First boat on the foils again with 28 seconds to go. Tom Slingsby, he's early back. Has he judged it right on board the Australian boat? The Danish and the Australians are leading back, and at the upwind end of the line, it's New Zealand, Peter Burling. He's already foiling with 15 seconds to go. Pole position is down the line, but New Zealand's coming in fast. Nathan Outridge on board the Swiss boat looks for a gap. Is it too late? New Zealand going to be the fastest boat of the gun again. Great timing by New Zealand. They've got so much space again. Clear start there. It's New Zealand, Australia and France on the money at the start, but I think New Zealand are going to have the fastest angle from here.
The Kiwis and the Aussies in a drag race to mark number 1 here in race number 3.
Australia has the right of way. New Zealand must keep clear of the Australians, and Slingsby, he does know how to deliver under pressure. The 2 top protagonists are going to be first and second at Mark 1, and it's all on here. It's all going to be about these first turns. Great news for Australia in the race for the final. New Zealand out in the front group as well, need to turn the boat soon. Australia have done a nice job with that turn. New Zealand spread away, but it's Australia and New Zealand are looking comfy at the moment. French have put themselves in a good position. Denmark and the USA need to overtake some boats and overtake them soon.
I'll tell you what, France has had great starts. It's the finishing that really has put them behind.
keep an eye on the speeds that these boats are doing downwind. It's really gusty conditions, so it's all down to the wing trimmers and the grinders out there today to keep the boats going as quickly as possible, adjusting to every gust. Tell you what, with 4 races today, I don't think I'd want to be a grinder on board.
First mistake of the day by the New Zealand crew off the screen. They've dropped way back, but Australia in first. They just need to stick a good turn here. Here we go, they're turning. The French are going to be on the inside at the bottom. First boat to touch the circle is going to have the right of way. I think the French are going to have the right of way. Mistake by Australia opens the door for De La Pierre, takes it. Switzerland and the Danes are going to be close at the bottom there. Danish turn inside, Australia second. That's probably still good enough for the Australians at the moment. They will be fine. Danish look good and heading away for a left turn. It's New Zealand, America. Oh, they've missed the jibe. Pressure on the Americans, and this could be a regatta-ending mistake there. That was a terrible manoeuvre by the American boat. Nearly turned it over.
Wow.
With the current results, we'd be looking at the Kiwis, Australians, and Danish making it into the final.
So the Kiwis don't need the points as much because they are sitting on 2 victories in a row. The Australians could certainly use a top 3 finish. The Danes doing what they can, staying in the top 5. The Americans, though, were in a tie with Australia, and now they are sitting dead last.
Yeah, that's the French boat there, Crossado. We're good crossing the Kiwis. There we go. That's Kevin Peppernet on the wing trimmer there, talking about the wind coming onto the boat. Talking in French, so I don't understand too much of it, Todd, but that's definitely the wind calls are the main calls from Kevin Peppernet to Quentin de la Pierre. And we've got on the back there Manon Audenay, the strategist. She's looking around trying to help with the position of the Australian boat. The French must stay in first place and hope the Australians make a mistake.
Not only a race here for the victory in race 3, but the big picture, trying to get into that podium race. Only the top 3 will race in the final race of the day with those beautiful wind turbines in the distance, cranking up the energy. And of course, this being the 100% clean energy event taking place in Copenhagen.
The pressure is on for the Danish here. They need to stay in front of the Swiss, get into 4th place in order to beat the French into the final.
This
It
is the
is
umpires,
neck-and-neck.
penalty Switzerland, relative Denmark. Portac boat not keeping clear.
That could be a crucial one in this. Switzerland must drop back behind the Danes. That will get the Danes, for now, up to 4th place. New Zealand, well, they're in the pack and solid. It's not skipping my attention that the Australians are getting better and better as the day goes on. New wing trimmer, Ed Powys, the Swiss Army knife, as he's known in the Australian team. And he is doing a fantastic job. He's just so used to all these different roles, and he's dropping into it.
Battle for that 3rd and final spot, Emily.
The Kiwis are still comfortably on 27 points, which would see them into the final, while that battle is still hot and heavy between the Danish and the French. They're trying to get some space in between them, get more boats with more points to make it easy, their lives easier going forwards.
French trying to find friends out on the water that can help them out with the Danes. Right now, they're separated by 1 point, that being New Zealand. Really not a factor because they are pretty comfortably in.
Right rate's favoured, so we're going to go for that.
Slingsby wants to turn right at the top here. That means that he is going to go through. So at the moment it's going to be Australia, France and Denmark. Sorry, it's going to be Australia, New Zealand and Denmark into the final. That would have been a disappointing one for the New Zealand crew. But the French need to make this right turn if they can. If the French can grab the lead back, that puts the pressure straight back on the Danish. At the moment, Australia and New Zealand comfortably in a position to go through to the final. The battle is all about, can the French hold the lead and can the Danes stay in 4th? If the Danes lose 1 place, they've got a big problem.
Quentin de la Pierre, a lot of pressure on his shoulder, trying to get the French into their first podium race. Can he get it done? We know he can start, Stevie. Can he finish the race?
Good job so far, but this Danish team, they're just not making many mistakes this season. Katja
boundary penalty for
Quentin, no! That's a big unforced error by the French. If that's going to mean they've got to lose 20 metres relative to that Australian boat, it will put them back behind them at the moment. On board the French.
And that'll just put 1 boat in between them, that being the Kiwis.
There you go, they're still trying to get rid of that penalty. They've got to head up towards the Australians, lose that distance here. It's going to be tight. Penalty seems to be off. They are just in the lead. Wow, 10 metres in it. Oh, Australia have to keep clear. Aggressive from De La Pierre. He turns the boat away again. Oh, it's a big match race down here. Australia constantly have to keep clear. Oh, that was Nina Curtis just called Slingsby out in time. Big error there on board the Australian boat. This could be costly for Australia. They can't afford to drop points relative to the French either, as there's only 1 point in it with France and Australia.
Penalty there for Australia in that incident.
Coming in, top of screen, New Zealand in third, but they have the right of way. Australia need to keep clear of New Zealand. Burling and Took not going away. It's going to be a tight cross. How brave Slingsby feeling? I don't think he's across here. He's got to keep clear. Oh my Lord, that's tight.
He's going to go for it.
Big mistake. Oh, that's tight. That's so aggressive. There's going to be a penalty. Certainly a protest here, if nothing else. Wow, that was so tight. And New Zealand's going to take the right turn. Oh, and they're underwater. De La Pierre, opportunity galore here. Penalty on Australia. That was so aggressive from Slingsby. Denmark are going to be into the shot here.
So it's 5 boats battling for 3 positions in the podium. You've got France, New Zealand, Denmark, Australia, and now the Swiss coming into 5th.
This error here would see the Kiwis, Danish, and the French going through to the final, pushing the Aussies out of that final race.
First time this year that Tom Slingsby and the Australians would not make the podium race.
Here we go. This is an absolute moment here for De La Pierre. What a great downwind, but the New Zealand boat looked fast. We're hearing rumours of a flight control problem on that boat, but they seem to be managing the problem pretty well at the moment, as they seem to have moved themselves back into second place. Liv Mackay again checking out, looking around, helping Peter Burling with the strategy on the boat here. Big lead for New Zealand, and that could change the results again on the overall, as the French were in the lead.
So the Kiwis out in front. They won the first 2 races. Can they hold on for a third and make it a clean sweep? The French have looked good in this position in the past 2 races. It's the finishing that you have your worries about. Can Quentin de la Pierre pull a full race top to finish?
The French need to stay in second here and keep the Aussies in 4th if they want to make the final. There's 1 point difference.
If they end up tied, of course, it's important to remember that the boat that does better in the last race will go through. So in the event of a tie, it's the boat that does the best in the last race that goes through. So advantage France at the moment, but this wind is changing all the time. There's opportunity out there. The ladder lines show us that Nicolai Sehested and his Danish boat are going fast, and they're closing up and overtaking the French. Quentin needs to find a few meters here.
And let's remember just how tricky this final leg's going to be with the cruise ships. It looks like a short reach to the finish line, and then the wind just seems to die down.
Great battle in this race so far. Look at the position from the Danish. 6th place at Mark 1 and all the way up to 3rd. Brilliant sailing from them today. And again, the Kiwis are just stealing the show.
Well, they're going so fast on board that New Zealand boat. Oh, it's a bit of a bounce. That could be that flight control issue we've heard rumours of there. The boat changing height. You see, it was close to the water, high out the water, close again here. But the French, well, they're going fast. The French show us leading at the moment. They have to turn the boat. When the French turn the boat, they'll have the right of way. I think New Zealand are still ahead, but it is going to be tight at the top of the course, and Australia are struggling to catch the Danish at the moment. Good news for the French.
Nicolai Sehested doing a great job for the home team, currently sitting in 3rd place. That would be good enough to get them into the podium race. New Zealand, France, and Denmark look to be the favorites to get into the top 3. Australia tied on points, though, so they would need to finish ahead of the French to have an opportunity to break that tie.
So tight, this last leg. It's been the Achilles heel of the French and De La Pierre all day. Surely De La Pierre's learned from his mistakes on this last leg. Hopefully he's learned from that anyway. For New Zealand, well, they've been the masters of today so far, and it's going to be tight with Australia and Denmark. Denmark, not a good last turn there. They have the right of way. Australia will have to go behind. What's Slingsby got up his sleeve for the final leg to the finish? He needs a place. He desperately needs a place. Aggressive from Slingsby, takes a right turn here.
Problem is, we do something crazy, we might lose everyone.
This is his move. He's choosing to take a right turn. He'll look for an early turn and hope to be fast in at the end. It's aggressive here. It looks like the wrong way. It's not the wrong way. He's allowed to go right or left at the top there. He knows he has to take one place. He's going all in. All cards in on red for Slingsby. I don't know if it's going to work.
And a clean sweep for the Kiwis as Peter Burling makes it 3 for 3. They are into the podium race. And the French just meters to go to lock in their position as well. Still green on top, and Quentin Delapierre, a master for third race. They hold on for second, and here come the Danes in third. It's going to be a little too late, though, but a great charge coming from Tom Slingsby and the Aussies.
Hometown heroes there, the Danish in third, Australia, they are going to get in cross in fourth, but it's not going to be enough. It's not going to be enough for Slingsby. First final missed in 6 events.
So that solidifies our final 3 for today. The Kiwis, the French, and the Danish will be going through to that final race.
Oh. The Americans coming across just behind Nathan Outteridge and the Swiss team, and then the race for the final, it'll be the Canadians taking 7th, and Spain a clean sweep, finishing 3 last in a row. Remember, they had problems with their boat early this week as they had an incident out on the water, so they finish in 8th place. Wow, what a charge and what a change of events. It looked like Australia had this thing locked up, and then it all went south for the 2-time reigning champions.
Well, we've sort of learnt the strategy by now of the New Zealand crew. I'm just staggered that no one else has learnt it. Australia leading back. New Zealand have loved this run up all day. They're the first boat on the foils in every race, and they're just coming in so fast. Slingsby on the Australian boat, well, he needed a good start, and he really came up with the goods under pressure. It was Australia and New Zealand. 8 seconds to go. They were pretty close. It was a brilliant start by both. Slingsby held the lead at Mark 1, but it wasn't to be enough through the race.
Quite the deja vu moment here in the last race compared to Plymouth, where we had a port starboard incident. Here it was the Aussies that got the penalty. Last time it was the Brits, and that cost them their place in the final. They got a penalty, they dropped off the foils, slowing down so much here that the Danish then got them after this mark. Huge error, and first race without them in a final.
Well, yeah, a little chance to look at this in slow motion. We see New Zealand have the right of way. Australia, therefore, need to turn and keep clear. Do they keep clear? Not for me. They turn the boat, but it's very, very close at those high speeds. That's where the foul was adjudged, and you can see they fall off the foils.
Go on board Denmark, Nicolai Sehested, and for the 2nd race in a row, the Danes are into the final. And this one, his home race, the ROCKWOOL Denmark Sail Grand Prix. Nicolai, take us through that last race and how chaotic it was out there. Were you crunching the numbers to know what you had to get into that final?
Yeah, that was it's a little bit chaotic, the last one. Obviously, we knew the France and Australia was the boats to watch out for, so we just tried to manage them a little bit. Yeah, it's all about getting to the final, and then now it reset, so we didn't think too much other than just keeping France and Australia close to us.
Well, Nicolai, like you said, it's all about this next race. It's gusty, it's shifty. There's a lot of home fans that would love to see a Danish win. How are you feeling about this start? You going high risk?
Yeah, we're going to go high risk. To be honest, the Kiwi seems pretty fast out here, so you can't let them get out in the front. Then they're hard to catch, so we're going to push pretty hard to get off the line in front of them and then take it from there. I think we have one we need to pay back from Plymouth.
Nicolai, you've been a busy man this week. You've had the Crown Prince and Princess on board. Kevin Magnussen comes on board. So is the key bringing on royalty to make that boat go faster?
Yeah, I think so. At least let's put it that way. It's been a really, really fun week for us, and now it's our job to pay everyone back from all the support the whole week and all the fun. So we're going to give it everything now and do our best to pay it back to all the fans and supporters.
Nicolai, thanks so much. Wish you the best as we get ready for the podium race, and it will be New Zealand, Denmark, and France facing off for the right to take home the title of the ROCKWOOL Denmark Sail Grand Prix here in Copenhagen, the greenest capital on earth. What a finish as Tom Slingsby, the 2-time defending champions, just missing out on the tiebreaker. Jimmy Spithill had a good run the first 2 races, just couldn't work the magic on the start on that last one. They'll finish in 5th place. And then Canada really having to sort out their problems. We thought they might be a player in this one. Switzerland welcomes on Nathan Outteridge, had flashes of brilliance, still some work to do there. And Spain, wow, a tough day for them. 3 last place finishes, but not as bad as Great Britain as they were unable to go.
Go, go, go.
Well, Larry Ellison and I started talking about a better way to deliver professional sailing.
Larry and Russell had this vision of how the sport needed to evolve. So we could create a sailing product or a championship that could be commercially viable and that would continue in time. But then one day they said, why don't we create a new sailing league?
SailGP is setting out to redefine sailing. It will be racing at its very best, fueled by athletes, powered by nature. For our inaugural season, we will stage events in Sydney, San Francisco, New York, in England and Cowes, onto our final event in Marseille.
So when we started to think about this, one of the keys was we need a regularity of events. And to do that, you need to solve the logistics. You need to be able to ship these boats around the world. So the boats had to fit into containers.
I got the call, from Russell Coutts to start looking at some numbers with Andy Thompson and figuring out what the model could look like.
And we did everything in a period of 9 months. So it was absolutely crazy.
I mean, the idea with SailGP was really simple from the beginning. It was just making sailing a lot more exciting. More exciting for the sailors, more exciting for the fans, more exciting for the commercial partners, more exciting for the cities.
You're really competing in this league on equal terms with every other team. Everyone has the same technology. Everyone has access to the data. And all of a sudden, now it's a real test of which athlete is better. And the human factor is making the difference.
Scandinavia, home to Vikings, and now a new generation of seafarers are down to 3 in the grand final. Who will be victorious in the ROCKWOOL Sail Grand Prix?
And those 3 will be New Zealand, the home team Denmark, and the French making their first appearance in the podium final. Wow. So if you'd mix things up, Stevie, at the start of this weekend with the weather and everything we've gone through, would those have been the 3 teams you'd picked?
I definitely would have picked the Kiwis. I think the Danish are sailing really well, and the French, well, they've always had a good one day of the event, and this is a one-day event, so they've just timed their one good day really well. And Quentin de la Pierre there, look at him, he's getting pretty fired up at the back of the boat, and we saw him punching the hull after the finish, hugging each other. Big moment for this French crew, but they need to now refocus. They're in the final, because I know one thing for absolute sure is that New Zealand crew. Here we are with the French. We've got Quentin de la Pierre, Kevin Pepperner. I think this new partnership's really key. Yeah. But Quentin and Manon sailed together in the Olympics in Tokyo in the NACRA 17. And I think that driver-strategist role between Manon and Quentin's been absolutely crucial in these gusty, shifty conditions. It's been a calm, calculated show by the French, which is probably not something we often say about them.
And of course, the Kiwis coming off that great performance in Plymouth as they, as Stevie likes to say, cracked the code, but they looked so good in Plymouth. And these guys have been together, and we've mentioned this a lot of times, they've been together a long time, especially Burling and Tuke.
Burling and Tuke, well, haven't they won? Well, it was until the last event, a SailGP event, but they've won it now. They're ice cold. They've absolutely been brilliant today. And again, Burling and Mackay at the back there in that strategy and driver role, it's been really good. But the most important thing, they're the fastest boat on the water at the moment.
And the home team, Denmark, in for the second podium race in as many races. So, Emily, they are on a roll.
They really are, and this is a brilliant team of Danish hometown heroes as well as long-term partnerships. Nicolai Sehested, driver, and Tom Johnson have done a lot of sailing together, a lot of offshore sailing as well, so they know each other very well. And then you've got Rasmus, Hans Christian, Julius, and Katja as well, who's bringing that crucial strategist role to the team. An Olympic sailor herself, she knows what to look out for and how to make sure the boat's in the right place.
So will it be the hottest team in SailGP in New Zealand? Will it be the hometown team in Denmark, or will it be the upstarts in France? We've seen the starts that Quentin de la Pierre and the French can get. The question is, can they pull off a full race? Steve, if I'm out there, I'm watching exactly what Peter Burling is doing, because he has gone to the back of the start box every time and hit the line at full speed.
A lot more space on the line now, Todd. All the teams should be able to have a clean run in here. We've got about 45 seconds to go until the start of this race here. New Zealand looking to turn things up. Denmark coming in. This race will not be decided at Mark 1, but it's an awful lot lot easier if you're in first place at Mark 1. 35 seconds to go. All boats now heading back towards the start line. In the middle of the sandwich is New Zealand. Oh, the French. Poor tack, poor turn through the wind there. Boat fell off the foils. That could be costly. It's Denmark and New Zealand. They're in a real street fight back here. He's got to keep clear the Danish boat. New Zealand have control. Aggressive manoeuvre by the New Zealand crew. Could force them off. That opens the door for the French. 12 seconds to go. Burling turns down. Burling's destroyed the start for the Danish. It's all about your timing. It's going to be a drag race between France and New Zealand for control at mark number 1. That's the voice of Pete Burling. He thinks he'll be outside the French. The French were on the inside of the turn. That means the French have got control of things at the moment, but it's a sprint. How fast can you go? How brave are you feeling, New Zealand?
Currently, the Kiwis are the fastest boat on that reach, doing 76 kilometers an hour. The French aren't much slower, but every little bit of speed makes a difference.
The podium race is off at mark number 1, and it is the Kiwis, winners of 3 races in a row. They lead it, and it is France in second, Denmark close behind in third.
Wow, 82 kilometers an hour coming into mark 1 on board New Zealand. They're first to turn away. Historically, that's been good. Everyone follows. Oh, this is looking good for the New Zealand crew at the moment. Big, big lead early. Lapierre did a great job on the start. They just didn't have the speed. And at the moment, it's going to be setting up for a New Zealand masterclass here. They're looking fast. Denmark, well, Sehested needs to pull a rabbit out of the hat from here.
Neck and neck with these speeds. Kiwis still leading the charge, but not by much. The French are having moments of glory here, pushing them as fast as they can.
A lot of chatter on the boats as they approach gate number 2. This is leg 2 of 7. This is the final race, the podium race here at the 4th event of season 3.
They're all looking to set up for a left turn. If everyone goes the same way, that's fantastic news for Burling here as the French come round in behind second place. It's going to be an early move for the Danish. Complex manoeuvre here. Turn up, turn through the wind. Big work by the Danish. Good execution. Still on the foils there. And the first to split away. It's Denmark, New Zealand. He reacts quickly, turns the boat, and they get following each other now. It's going to be a bit of a foot sprint to try and find the next gust of wind. Good thing if you're in Denmark's position at the back of the pack, by turning away and trying to find space, you give yourself the opportunity for the wind to turn your way and potentially make some gains.
And that's what we're seeing at the moment. A little more wind, 26 kilometers an hour versus 22 on that left-hand side of the course where the Danish are. This could be their opportunity to move up the fleet, close the gap with the Kiwis.
See the angles relative to that ladder line. When the Danish crew turn the boat, they're going to be going nearly straight up the ladder. They've closed the gap with the Danes, with the New Zealand boat a lot here. Still showing as a lead for New Zealand. But yes, the wind had turned to the left. Burling saw that. He's first to split away. And Denmark, they will be in the lead. But when they come back together in a minute or so's time, it will be the New Zealand crew with the right of way. And Denmark's eyes need to be on the French now. Are they clear ahead or are they not? I think it's tight. Denmark must keep clear of the French.
And with the French coming on strong, Denmark forced to dip behind.
Great news for New Zealand. That had got neck and neck, but they were just ahead of the French crew. Denmark, I think, will show us ahead of the French very, very soon. But Burling and the New Zealand boat, well, they're stretching out here. But Denmark are fast as well. Look at the speed difference there. Nearly 10 kilometers an hour faster on board the Danes. The wind is so gusty. Find extra wind and you're going to go an awful lot faster. Sehested is talking about the wind that he sees Burling in. He sees that Burling's going to have to come back in towards him fairly soon.
And so far, the Kiwis are that little bit faster, 1 kilometer an hour on average. All 3 boats, 100% fly time. Really impressive from these teams in these shifty and gusty conditions.
That's the voice of Blair Took on the New Zealand boat. We're mainly hearing the New Zealand crew out there at the moment, quite vocal in these gusty conditions. Voice of Liv Mackay there, crossing France by 1. All 3 boats sailing so well at the moment. There's absolutely nothing in this. France must keep clear of Denmark here. Tricky spot for the French now. It's going to be hard work for them. New Zealand look well set for the left turn here. But all 3 boats, we could chuck a blanket over them, Todd. This one's going to go to the wire.
Leg 3 of 7, and they are this close. It is the Kiwis out in front. They'll make the turn at gate number 4 first, and then it's France and Denmark neck and neck.
Oh, the Danish had to keep clear. I think he did enough there, Nicolai Sehested, but any fight back in the pack is great news for Burling. The two boats behind are slowing each other down. New Zealand get to stretch away, and it was only 3 seconds at gate 2. At gate 3, 9 seconds. Gain for New Zealand on this upwind leg, and Denmark are past the French.
Quentin Delapierre pushing the Danes out wide.
And this is the umpires.
There's a lot of incidents going on here. The Danish have to keep clear. This is an absolute moment in the sand for the New Zealand boat. I can't see the other two boats being able to catch up from here. France have really focused in on securing that second place. They are moving away. Disaster for the Danes. They're off the foils. They're so slow. Both hulls in the water. And it's just, well, it's going to be a big gap when we get back to the New Zealand boat on the screen. I think they are down the road.
And somewhere in the port is the Kiwis, and they are sailing away from everyone. Look at the speed, near perfection out on the water for New Zealand.
They'll be following us. Pete Burling's even planning their route for them. Big lead. Those ladder lines show nearly 300 meters, and we've just not seen mistakes from New Zealand today. It's been 3 firsts in the fleet races. I mean, I hate to say anyone deserves it, but they have sailed phenomenally, and it's about minimizing mistakes at the moment.
They just seem to be doing everything so precise, even their crossings, everything. Everything dropping in goes so smoothly.
Voice of Burling there. Be looking to try and keep it fairly simple here. There's leg 4 of 7 at the moment.
The Kiwis in really good pressure here. We see their speed slightly higher, 5 kilometers an hour faster, just in that bottom edge of the course, while their average speed was faster, but not quite to that extent. 1 kilometer an hour versus a 5 kilometer an hour gust at the end.
So the battle will be on for second place right now, and France firmly holding on that with Quentin Delapierre and the French in their first podium final here in SailGP, doing very nicely around that. Gate number 4, and the Danes, after falling off and dropping both holes into the water, have dropped back to 3rd.
It just got tight, just got really tight with the French. France had the right of way, and well, they made sure they held on to their second place. Probably fair enough, really, but it put the pressure on Denmark, slowed both boats up, and that's opened the door. But gusty, shifty wind, top of the screen, New Zealand, it's probably not quite over yet.
Look at the speed difference.
Big speed difference. But look at the dark patches of water there. The helicopter angle showed it really well. Those darker patches is more wind. It's like having more petrol in your car. You can go faster, faster, faster. Well, the New Zealand crew, they had to take a bit of a slow bit for a minute. They're fast again now and nearly sailing straight up the course.
If we can't get there in one, we go left.
There we go. Talking about the plan for the next gate. They want to try and minimise the number of manoeuvres they have to do.
Leg 5 of 7. This is the last race of the event. This is the podium race.
On board New Zealand, still hearing Burling and Toop, just constantly discussing what they want to do here. Liv Mackay starting to lift. That means the wind's starting to send them more straight up the ladder. Probably not what you want to hear right now, to be perfectly honest with you. But there's a big lead for New Zealand. They're trying to minimise the number of times they turn the boat.
Getting up here, please. 3, 2, 1. Board coming down. 48.
Just 2 more legs here to go. They've got to do a turn through the gate at the top, down to Mark 1, and then it'll be a sprint to the finish.
And as we've heard 100 times from Stevie, the start is crucial, and that is exactly what we're seeing here with the Mark 1 positions to now. Same position that they were in at Mark 1. We had a bit of a battle, but crucially, the Kiwis led at Mark 1, and they just grew that gap throughout the race.
Tight in the middle race for second, though, Todd.
So this race a little longer than we saw in the fleet races in race 1, 2, and 3. It'll be 7 legs, so they won't have to deal, Stevie, as much with those cruise ships and the tricky winds that they had at the bottom towards the finish.
No, it'll be music to the ear of the Kiwi crew as they turn right at gate 5. They're just going to head downwind to a final turn in Mark 6. What does it look like out there at the moment, Lisa?
Well, it's a lot different for the finishing leg. They're not going to have that diabolical finish where there's this big light patch. So they've changed the course angle a little bit. It's going to be a really beautiful high-speed reach to the finish, and I think the Kiwis pretty much have this wrapped up once they do their last few turns.
Wrapped up for first place maybe, but second and third, well, they're splitting the course. The French turn right, the Danish turn left. One last roll of the dice for Nicolai Sehested as we see New Zealand moving in at the final turning mark.
New Zealand out in front. Clear seas, no mistakes so far. Winning 3 races to get themselves into the podium. And Stevie, this is going to change things on the overall.
Oh, it's amazing on the overall, yeah. I mean, you heard 90%, Andy. That's Burling saying, hey, Andy, you don't need to fly us so high, mate. We can play it a bit safe here. Background, French and New Zealand look pretty close.
And in the end, at more than 59 kilometers an hour, it is New Zealand's SailGP that takes the win here in Copenhagen. 2 in a row for the Kiwis.
Absolute demolition job today, I'd have said there, Todd. Look at the flags on the plans along the shoreline there. Incredible scenes here in Copenhagen, and what a performance from that New Zealand crew.
This will be huge on the overall leaderboard, as it will close that gap between the Kiwis and the Aussies.
I know they wanted a win, but a great showing by France. Quentin Delapierre, huge improvements for them. What a day as the French came out in the first race, finished in 6th. Then they bounced back to a 4th, and then they somehow get a 2nd in race number 3 to punch their ticket in. They're going to finish in 3rd in the podium race, but that's 3rd overall, and those are great points coming off the showing that they had in Plymouth, where they also finished in 3rd. So great points, Stevie, overall in the big picture on the season 3 for the Danes.
2 in a row in the final for the Danes. Their time will come. Their improvements are amazing, and the home fans they look pretty. Look at the scenes, incredible scenes, and they should rightly so be proud, because in these gusty conditions, the Danes really did deliver. He was aggressive. He got tied up in a bit of a fight with the Kiwis at the start, and that proved a bit crucial. But fair play. Nicolai said he was going to go for it, first or last, and it was a 3rd place. They'll be really happy with that. But yeah. Good job.
25-second win for Peter Burling and New Zealand. They win in Plymouth. They win in Copenhagen. And so the Kiwis now are certainly on a roll. And we'll see what happens when we get to the next event in Saint-Tropez, France. But Stevie, a lot of great moments in this race to break down.
Well, yeah, I mean, it turned out, I didn't think the start would be as crucial as it turned out that it would be, actually, at the moment, because basically we see here the French, they were out the back, but it's this fight between New Zealand and Denmark that probably was the one that New Zealand probably saw the Danes as their biggest threat. They pushed Denmark up towards the wind. Denmark had to keep clear of them, and that meant with 10 seconds to go, Denmark were very slow. New Zealand could turn down. The French had the perfect run at the pole position, but the New Zealand boat, they've just been faster all day, and they converted this to a lead at Mark 1.
It was at Gate 4 where the match race between the Danish and the French really took off. They decided to forget about the Kiwis and battle for 2nd and 3rd. Unfortunately, it was Nicolai who got the penalty in this incident. Huge cost to them, as it meant they had to drop behind the French, ended up coming off of the foils. Such a close call between them. Ultimately, the French took it and got their 2nd place.
Well, hi, Pete and Blair. That's 2 out of 2. You tell us you haven't cracked the code, but, mate, you seem to be doing a pretty good job, Pete.
Yeah, we felt pretty comfortable today, to be honest, but, you know, we got some pretty good opportunities at the start where things just seemed to open up and you had all the space and time in the world, so definitely makes life easy when you're leading at Mark 1, and, you know, the guys and girls were doing an amazing job getting the boat around the track and making my life easy.
And I guess probably a big day for the grinders, so a shout out for the guys on the handle in the front. Looked like it was pretty hard work with all those gusts and shifts.
Yeah, Marcus and Louis doing an amazing job. You know, that's
think they make players' life pretty easy on the wing sometimes, and especially mine when I'm trying to get the board down. Definitely plenty of power there, so it's just amazing to see the whole group coming together and to be able to put two together in a row and have the perfect weekend here. Essentially, winning all 4 races is something we're super proud of as a group.
Pete, congratulations. You guys win in Plymouth, and you back it up with the win here in Copenhagen. As you celebrate tonight, you look towards Saint-Tropez, France. What kind of problems does France present for you guys, and how quick until you decide the strategy that you'll take?
I think we really enjoy these kind of conditions where they're a bit puffy and a bit going on, and you definitely need to be good at everything. But Saint-Tropez is another venue. Last year we saw some pretty light air there, and some pretty big waves in the build-up, so we'll just have to wait a little bit closer to the time and see what it's going to throw at us. But we're super stoked about this weekend, and we'll definitely be celebrating it for sure.
Peter Burling, thank you so much for your time. Congratulations to New Zealand SailGP as they get the win here in Copenhagen. And now it is a time to celebrate out on the Baltic. Wow, what a performance. They did it, Stevie, in Plymouth in grand style, and here it was more like a dominating fashion.
Oh, it was clinical here, wasn't it? And they fully deserve this. I mean, 4 wins out of 4 in these gusty, shifty conditions. They really do deserve a champagne moment. His Royal Highness at the back there on board, and he got to enjoy the F50 earlier today, of course, and, well, he got to enjoy a masterclass from this New Zealand crew as the day's gone on.
Crown Prince Frederick on board with Peter Burling, and out comes the bubbly.
Getting pretty good at that on board that New Zealand boat.
Crown Prince is smart enough to know to get off the boat there and let the boys and the whole crew have at it. Well, they certainly know what they're doing, and they've got plenty of practice. New Zealand wins 2 races in a row here in Season 3.
Well, of course, today we've opened up a vote for our first ROCKWOOL rock star of the day. And, well, let's be honest, for me, there can only be one winner of the rock star of the day. Peter Burling, the fans vote as the sailor of the day, and I can't have any arguments with that. I mean, of course, he'll throw it out to the whole crew, but really the starting was the key today. I think a lot of that falls onto the driver's hands to get that time and distance right. He was calm and he was excellent.
An absolute clean sweep by the Kiwis as they win races 1, 2, and 3, and then put an exclamation point on it as they take the podium race. New Zealand takes the 10 points. France finishing in 2nd place. Denmark in 3rd in the podium race. Australia just missing out. The first time they haven't been in the podium race this season. The Americans had a good showing, but that last race kind of did them in. They'll finish with 6 points in 5th place. Then Canada, Switzerland, and Spain, the unfortunate end with 3 last place finishes. Great Britain, really, the big losers on the weekend as they have boat damage during practice, and they are unable to race at all this weekend. So, you add those points now to the overall, and after 4 events in Season 3, it looks like this. The Aussies look to have a stranglehold, and now they've got company. It's Australia, the 2-time reigning and defending champions. They are now 4 points clear of New Zealand. Denmark has moved up into 3rd place, 1 point clear of the Canadians. Great Britain takes a big fall out of the top 3 down to 5th. France in 6th. The Americans sitting in 7th with Switzerland and Spain bringing up the rear. So that'll do it from Copenhagen. On behalf of Lisa Darmanin and Emily Nagel and Stevie Morrison, I'm Todd Harris saying goodbye from this beautiful town, the greenest capital on earth, as ROCKWOOL Denmark Sail Grand Prix comes to a conclusion. And once again, the Kiwis reign supreme on the Baltic. Race day number 1, I should say, canceled because of weather that's not cooperating. It was not safe. The wind died down and the rains came up. But on day number 2, it was all go. Next event for us will be stop number 5, the France Sail Grand Prix, September 10th and 11th. We'll see you there. Peter Burling makes it 3 for 3.
Come on, guys.